One thing I love is when I get questions and emails from my subscribers letting me know some of the issues that they're having with their hair. And they trust me enough to ask questions. In this Ask T series, I will be sharing some of my questions, so enjoy. Luyando writes in and says, my hair I think is type 4A/B, and I find that it is always dry. Even if I water it down and then moisturize it and seal with an oil, it always looks frizzy and feels brittle. It's like I have tried everything and nothing is going to work. My hair is at shoulder length and has not grown any longer for years. I'm in the UK, so it is hard to find black hair products. Do you have some advice for me? That's an excellent question because I go through the same thing with my hair. Once my hair started getting longer, I immediately suffered with brittle, dry hair. Now, I don't know what your hair texture is. You said 4A, 4B. That's probably what people would classify my hair as. It's kind of like a finer hair texture. But it's dense. But I would say you probably have hair similar to mine. It's a little fine, silky, like this hair texture that loses moisture extremely fast. This texture gets a lot of shrinkage. So when the hair wants to tighten up, it loses a lot of moisture because it's just not a thick hair strand. It's a very fine hair strand, but it's kinky, so it gets extremely dry. One of the things that I've been doing that really helps, I've been doing actually probably two or three things. One thing I do sometimes is I'll wash my hair, put a bunch of conditioner in it, and let it just air dry. And I'll add like a thick coating like shea butter on top of it. Sometimes light oils do work for this hair texture, but this hair texture or a texture that's kind of losing moisture a lot, it needs to be layered. It's very important to use like the lock method and techniques that close the cuticle. The hair product should not only close the hair cuticle, something needs to sit and create a barrier because for some reason, because of all that kinkiness, it's becoming super dry. And my hair didn't start experiencing this until it got longer. Another tip I do is I'll do my hair wet. Style your hair while wet. Sometimes I'll wash my hair, put it in some twists, and let it naturally fluff into its natural, it will shrink, but it stays soft and fluffy all day for several days. But I always re-moisturize this hair texture, a hair texture that gets dry every night. Style the hair wet, let it air dry with your favorite conditioner in. Be generous with the hair product if your hair gets dry very fast. Don't be afraid to coat it on your hair because your hair is telling you when it's drying out, it's telling you you're not putting enough moisture on my hair. You're not providing a good barrier for the moisture because it's losing it. If your hair feels dry, it's dry. I don't care how much product you put on it, it's drying out. So things that have helped me is styling my hair wet and letting it naturally flow into its curly state, but it does become very shrunken. So if you don't like your hair to look shrunk, you might not like that technique. The thing that's really been helping is styling the hair at night with a lot of product. Using the lock method, which is liquid oil and conditioner. You start with the water-based product, you add some type of oil, then you add some creamy-based product to your hair. That works great because you're putting a barrier on your hair at night, and not only that, your hair is soaking in all the moisture at night. So sometimes even if you put a plastic cap over it right after you do all that moisturizing, you will wake up with very moisturized hair. Now your hair might be slightly wet, but within about clearly, if your hair is drying out very fast, it loses moisture fast. So within probably less than an hour, you will notice that your hair is already at a normal texture because it's losing that moisture fast. So sometimes in order to keep your hair moisturized, like, for at least the whole day, you might have to start with somewhat soiled hair because then by within an hour, you're going to notice your hair is already at a normal moisture level. It's not wet anymore within an hour. You should pay attention to your hair and see if your hair is losing moisture within 20 minutes after it's somewhat wet, within 30, an hour. That'll give you an idea of how fast your hair is losing water. What you want to do is practice helping your hair stay moisturized even longer. Hair is almost like a glass of water. You have a glass of water, it's full to the top, and what happens is that the water in that hair evaporates into the air. If you put a lid on that water, it's not going to evaporate anymore into the air. It's going to be very difficult. So look at like adding thick products like shea butter, or some people like coconut oil, but coconut oil can be rather light. Pay attention to your own texture. So I notice when I start with my hair somewhat wet, it lasts longer. To make it simple, everything with hair that loses moisture starts at night. Okay, and if you can't get your regimen done at night, you need to do something where your hair's wet in the morning and you allow it to just gradually dry. That's what works for my texture. And I guess some people would say I probably have 4A, 4B hair. Don't be afraid to over moisturize your hair. If you don't want greasy, wet hair, do it at night. Put a plastic cap on it. The twist will be a little moist in the morning, but I promise you, pay attention. Within 30 minutes to an hour, you will notice that hair is already dry and feeling moisturized, and it'll be at a good level where you can get through the day. And even though it's losing moisture, because you will lose moisture, certain hair textures just don't hold on to moisture a lot, and that's why you kind of want to put layers on your hair. When I moisturize my hair at night, and yes, it might be extremely greasy and even using over too much product, I know in the morning it's going to be dissolved into my hair, and my hair is going to be super moisturized, because you want to keep that moisture at 100. That's how I look at it, like it's on a scale from a 0 to 100. And once you let your hair free, it's always losing moisture. It's just a matter of creating barriers so that it slows down the moisture loss process. Okay, that's where the butters come in. That's where the oils come in. That's where the creamy conditioners come in, or the oil-based creamy conditioners. Those will all help your hair just stay nice and luscious for the whole, at least one day. But even at that end of that day, you should be adding moisture at night. Take advantage of the nighttime to really give your hair that moisture boost. Okay. Matter of fact, it's not even a moisture boost. It's just recovery, a moisture recovery. Then in the morning, you mist your hair with something that's another intelligent product, water that has an acidifier, not just regular water. Water with some apple cider vinegar or aloe vera juice. Some people even use lime juice. You don't need a lot of it. If it's a little bottle like this, a half a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, okay? But I buy pH strips because I like to measure and make sure my pH is right. You don't want to make it too acidic. If you lose moisture fast, your hair is not lying to you. If you're moisturizing it and it's still dry, it needs more moisture. You're not doing anything wrong. You just need to do it more. You need to increase it, and you need to give your hair time to absorb all the moisture in so that it's at its 100 level. And I'm making this 100 level up because I want you to understand that the hair, when it's moisturized correctly, is at max potential 100. It's going to slowly, every hour, every minute, start to lose water. That's just the way hair is. If you create a barrier by adding the butter or oil, it's creamy base or product, it will slow it, but it's still gradually going to wipe off. Those products are going to become wiped off by your hands or whatever. If you do it correctly, you can make it at least to the night. Some girls have hair that can last a week without really having to add a lot of moisture to it. But if you notice your hair is dry within that day, every night you need to be adding the L.O.C method. You need to be adding a liquid, water, some oil. Grab olive oil, wheat germ oil, any type of light oil, and then a creamy base product, whether it's whatever type of creamy base or butter. Okay, you'll have to play with products to see what works. I like Shea Moisture's Curl Enhancing Smoothie. It's a little greasy and it does kill my definition, but I like to use it at night, or if I just wet my hair and fork it through my curls, they usually come out really nice, because when it dries, once my hair dries, it just leaves a nice texture. I love shea butter because it creates a great barrier on my hair, and I love the texture it leaves as a sealer, as a sealant on my hair. I like Giovanni. Giovanni's a great hair product to use at night, and just add like some water to your hair first and just saturate it. Don't be stingy with your hair if you know it loses moisture fast, especially at night, because then you don't have to worry about in the morning it being greasy. But again, you'll have to play with your hair to know what works for you, okay? Next, there's all kinds of techniques that people use to get their hair to stay moisturized. And I know me, I tend to do a lot at night. And if I don't do my nightly routine, my hair starts dampened, not just lightly wet. I let my hair be dampened with water. Then I apply the product, and within an hour, my twists are ready to come out, because my hair loses moisture so fast. It doesn't take long for it to dry. So thank you so much, Luyando, for asking the question. I hope it has been helpful to others. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Ask T. Have a good day.